Hi everyone, it's Allie, and I'm here today to do a tarot tag. And I've got a cat coming onto my lap just as we start to talk about this. Of course I do. Well, he doesn't usually come into the videos. He's a different contender. Okay, but you're gonna get down because he's a destructor. So you may have noticed that I didn't do a week ahead reading yesterday. It's a long weekend here in Canada. Today's a holiday, family day. But I did do a reading, but it was just so personal that I just didn't want to post it. Sorry. It has been a turbulent weekend in Canada. If you've been following the news, we made the news for something other than, hockey. And so it's been pretty draining. And anyway, I just got this really great reading, but I just couldn't discuss it without it being too personal. And I didn't want to do another one for the week because that was so perfect for me for the week ahead. So I'm sure you'll understand that. But to make up for my absence yesterday, I decided to do a tarot tag. And this one is from a channel called Antonia's Bliss, and it's like a response to Sylvain's tarot tag of a few months ago, the 7 decks for deadly sins. And this is the seven decks for heavenly virtues. There it is. Different cat. Hello. I'm going to do a tarot tag though. There's decks all over my desk. Okay, you can sit here if you want, but I need my desk. Okay. So, 7 decks for heavenly virtues. Isn't that nice? So, let's get started. I'll put a link to the original video as long as the prompts if you want to play along. Sometimes I just love a tag. So the first one is Prudence, the first virtue. And so that's practical, an all-purpose deck. And you guys know, before I even pull it out, why do I even bother? One of my thousands of Waite-Smith decks. This one happens to be the Tarot of A.E. Waite, the AGM. This is a really lovely edition. I love the line work in this one. The only bummer is that it's typeface and not calligraphy on the bottom, but it's a great edition. The cardstock is lovely. It's not too shiny. It's a little shiny. But I guess I wanted to be more interesting. I really did. I was like, this is the one I'm going to be more interesting. And of course, I could have put this for several different tags, but I didn't. It's just for that one. And I almost left it out, but I was like, it wouldn't be honest. It wouldn't be prudent for the Prudence one. Anyway, sorry. Sorry, not sorry. It's who I am. The next virtue is justice. So a deck for making decisions. It's not something I do very much. I don't tend to just go for a yes/no reading. I don't know why. Just never really, didn't start that way, I guess. So I just never picked it up that way. But if I had to choose one, I think, and you're going to drop dead when you see this if you know me, because it's an oracle deck. I actually have 2 oracles in this series. But it is really good. And it is the, Earthbound. I almost said Wooden. The Wooden is the tarot by the same company, which I don't have. And I looked at this deck for years about whether or not I would get it. But it's great. And I'm not really an oracle girl. I just don't really click for me. Half the time I do a reading, you've probably seen in my week ahead readings that it's not a good one. I say I've got an oracle deck ready to pull, and then I just don't, because I feel really satisfied with the tarot cards I pulled. But this one is fantastic. As you'll see, I'm going to do like a little cheat with one prompt later, and you'll see it goes with a lot of different decks. But yeah, it's quickly shot to be one of my favorites. And I think it's so straightforward. Even though it's really open, you can interpret the cards in many different ways. But you get a sense in a decision-making situation of what you would want to do. So it's a great little deck. It's quite small. I don't know, it's not a review or anything, but spoiler for what's coming. And I don't usually like small decks either, but it's a great little banger. I do really like it. Next, Fortitude, no punches pulled. So a deck that just tells you like it is. I have a number of these decks, and actually there's another one on my list for this. It was a toss-up for me. I did pull the Antique Anatomy. This deck I expected very little. Not to be a jerk about it, but I sort of thought it would be like a Halloweeny October type deck that I would pull out and then put away. It's just gives, and it doesn't pull very many punches. But because I've been working with it a lot recently, I decided to choose the Spolia Tarot for this particular prompt. I just find it doesn't pull any punches. It doesn't let you off the hook. And I think maybe for me, it's the combination of issues. Like, this is a great example, right? The Hanged Man. So we've got this sort of, not a gory depiction, but just this really realistic depiction of muscles and sinew and bone and against this beautiful old tree. And just for me personally, I'm in love with trees, and yet I find this quite a confronting image. Like, it takes these things that are beautiful and then pairs them in such a way that you can't just get away with looking at the beauty. And also, this deck makes really interesting use of negative space. Like, there's the devil. And it's not afraid to have empty space on the card, which I found a bit off-putting at first, but now I really like it. Like, it's just so cool. This deck. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't be gushing about it. Oh, and then there's elemental cards as well in this deck, and like astrological cards. Let's try and find another good negative space one. Now that I've said that, I won't be able to. But I shouldn't even be blathering on about it because it's out of print. Although I don't know how hard it is to find in... I have all these examples, and... Oh, there's a good one. Two of Swords. Lots of extra space on the cards. I don't know how hard it would be to find secondhand. I don't think they had a very limited run the first time around. So if you watch the secondhand marketplaces and things like that, you could probably get your hands on the Spolia Tarot. It is a humongous deck. All the astrological signs, and then the elemental cards as well. So that is my Fortitude. So Temperance, my pairing. Like I said, I don't do a ton of pairing. I always think I'm going to, and then I don't really. But I have a deck. Actually, where did I put it? Where's my little Earthbound I just had in my hands? Oh, there's right here. I wanted to give this one a special mention because it does pair great with a lot of my decks. Like that was just off the top. Look how great it is. And I do like decks with a sort of sepia, vintage tone. It goes great with my what's the matter with me? My Pagan Otherworlds deck. By Spirit Keepers Vitruvian Edition. It goes great with that deck. It goes with a deck that I'm not going to spoil right now. Another deck that I'm not going to spoil right now, I just realized. But it's just something about the vibrancy of the colors, but also the sepia tone that makes it just... I have never paired it with a deck and been like, no, I don't really like that. But the one that goes well with every deck, that consistently surprises me every time, is Chris Ann's Sacred Creators Oracle. And I pair this, I should have left this till the end actually, because I don't want to give things away. But like, make a mission statement for your soul. Oh, and then we've got the Seven of Cups. Like, great, right? So it pairs really well with, like, if we're just going to pick up a Spolia. And the pastel colors and the writing and sometimes what I initially considered to be sort of fluffy messages, I was like, which deck will this work with? Largely, I got it because I thought the deck was beautiful. I was very interested in the book, and the creator. Chris Ann is a fellow Ontarian, and I love to support Ontario Canadian artists, but it just slaps with everything I put it with. It doesn't matter the style. It just always works. And it always feels like a bit of a leap of faith. Like, I've got this great spread and this great reading, and what am I going to pull from the Sacred Creators? Because these two decks look so different to me. And then it's amazing. So actually, I'm going to leave that. I shouldn't have spoiled it. I'm doing this video all wrong, but I'm at the end, I'm going to go through these decks that I pulled and then show you. Yeah, there we go. Show you how well it goes with everything. It's wild how well it goes with everything. Okay. Faith is spiritual guidance. And it's funny, I can't remember if it was in the 7 Deadly Sins video or maybe it was like part of the 31 Days of Tarot, which I did 1 episode of. I've just been all over the place, you guys. But there was a question about, do you have a deck that you just keep to yourself and don't let anybody else read? And at the time I said no. But when I was thinking about this prompt for this particular tag, so the deck that brings you spiritual guidance, I realized I have this deck that I've never used with anybody else. I don't see myself using it with anybody else. And it's not like, that has sort of come as a surprise to me. Like, I'm not precious with my decks, and it's not because I want to gatekeep it, but because I think it digs so deep into me that I'm not sure I could read for someone else with it. Like, I just don't, I don't know if I could like drag it out of me and give them the reading. Maybe I will one day. Anyway, enough blather. But if I really want to get into deep, and if we want to talk about not pulling punches and dealing with like deep spiritual issues, it's the Brady. Is that right? Yeah, the Brady Tarot. Oh my God, I just had a total panic attack that I was going to say the wrong thing. I don't know what's wrong with me. By Emmy Brady. This is the first edition. And I think part of the reason I vibe with this one so hard is because I'm a Taurus and I'm all about earth, like earth energy. And this, I don't know if you can hear my dog sneezing. It's like just the earthiest energy deck there is. And I am consistently trying to get this one out of my practice. It seems I got it because I fell in love with the Hermit card. I don't know if we'll come upon it. It's so beautiful. Oh, let's look for it. And then I got it and I was like, oh, the images are, I'm not sure how I feel about the borders. I don't know what I think about these keywords. I don't know. And so then I was like, I'm going to give it away. And then I did some work with it and I was like, no, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to take it up to my cottage and just leave it up there because it's in the north of Ontario and that'll be a great place for it. And it'll just be more like an art piece. And I took it up there and I did some work with it up there and I was like, oh no, this is coming home with me. And just consistently, it just digs into me so deep. I don't know how another way to say it other than that. And then I was like, oh, she's coming out with the second edition without borders. And thank goodness, because the white space makes the cards smaller. And then I saw it without borders and I didn't like that. Like, this deck is perfect for me. Sorry, I'm just flipping through trying to find the Hermit. I think everybody's probably seen it. It's probably the most iconic image from this deck, I'm guessing. Although I don't see people talk about it very much. But I don't talk about it very much because, again, it's just so deep and personal to me. Oh my God, look at that Daughter of Roots. Oh, it just hits me everywhere. And I feel sometimes like I get a little drunk on it and I can't really formulate my words. Like, I don't think I'm formulating my words very clearly right now. Cat's in here playing with something. You see, now that I want the Hermit, it's gonna hide from me. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's a great deck, and I don't know if I'll ever use it with anybody else. And the other thing, too, is the guidebook is so good by Rachel Pollock, but I find myself still going back and back and back to the guidebook, which I don't love to do if I'm in front of somebody else reading for them. So I think it's just going to be mine, and I love it. Cat, sorry, 1 second. You are distracting and annoying. Stop it. Okay. Hope is the next one. So the Virtue of Hope. It's your hug deck. Sorry again to be so basic. Not a surprise to anybody. This also clicks in for me with my Earth self. It's the Tarot of Trees, the Gigantor edition. It's not called the Gigantor edition. It's the 40th anniversary edition. I could read this deck in any situation for anybody, and even the harder messages in it, because I feel such a huge kinship to trees. I love it. And I have other decks that I bought thinking, oh, they'll be my hug deck. Like, but nope, this is the one I consistently come back to. I should stop. I don't need any other decks for like self-care or that speak to me so clearly. If it weren't so tree focused, the last prompt is about a deck you would give to somebody else. I would give this deck to everybody if I thought everybody would love it, but I feel like it's my affinity for trees that kind of makes this deck. I just wouldn't give it to everybody because what if they didn't like trees? And it's so specific in that way. So, oh God, I love you, Tarot of Trees. Okay, and the final one was a deck that I would give to someone, and I'm not giving this one to someone like this particular deck because I just got it. And I had a lot of thoughts about this one. I wasn't going to choose a Waite Smith again because that is boring. And I've got a lot of decks I would give to other people. Anna Kay was really high on this list. Vivid Journey was high on this list. But in the end, I went with the Gentle Tarot. There we go. For the reason that it's a lovely blend of animal and human energy, because I know that not everybody likes animal decks and some people love animal decks. So I feel like it balances that really well. I feel like it's very Waite Smith faithful, and yet you don't need to have the Waite Smith knowledge to be able to read intuitively with this deck. Let's look at that coming together of nature and animals and people and plants. Oh my God, the Hermit. Like, I just can't. It's so beautiful. It's a beautifully produced deck. The guidebook is fabulous. We have body diversity in this deck. We have racial diversity in this deck. And it's supporting an Indigenous artist. So this is the one I would give to somebody who is just starting out. Oh, like, just come on. It's just so fantastic. I guess they'd have to be okay with bums. I double check to make sure. And there was a couple of decks I took out for that reason only, because you're never sure how someone is going to feel about nudity in a deck. The World Spirit Tarot, which is another one that I adore. I haven't been using that one enough lately. I got to talk about that one again. Yeah, it's a great one. And it has one of my all-time favorite Chariot cards, which is a card that usually does very little for me in terms of like feeling, oh, there it is. It wanted to come out. It's so good. At some point, I'm going to do an everything I've learned from this deck, and I'm going to talk about the Chariot for a good 2 hours probably. And the last thing I'm going to do, just to show you, I'm just going to cut the Sacred Creators Oracle, just so we get a different card on top. Oops. And just show you my two pairing decks with other decks. So here is, again, there's the Chariot. Fall in love with your own story. Fantastic. Oh, that's the same two decks. Anyway. Six of Cups, Celebration of Souls. Yes. Father of Arrows, Raw Intention. So that's the Brady Tarot and the Sacred Creators. And then, oh, sorry, they're stuck together. The Devil card from the Tarot of Trees and Successive Transformation. Oh my God. That is the Devil. No, is it? No, it's 15. Sorry, I got all excited. Anyway. It's so good. Spolia, Aries, Manifesting and Doing. So good. And then let's just take another little look. I'm making such a mess. If you're even still with me, let's just take a look at these decks with the Earthbound Oracle. So just pulling off the top. Nine of Thunder, Abundance. I just pulled that one from the Brady, so I'm just pulling one from the middle. Growth and Vision. So good. Oh God, I'm making such a mess. The Tower and Message. Like, again, these two decks don't look like they go together to me at all. But what is a Tower moment if not a giant message? We'll do one more. Why not? Spolia and Earth. Oh, I already had Aries. Sorry, let me get a different one. Oh, it's another astrological card. Gemini, Sleep. So they just... so great. Okay, what a mess I have made. I hope you enjoyed that tag. Sorry about the week ahead reading, but I encourage you to pull out your cards and tell me what you got for the week ahead reading, because I think, I don't know, I could use some guidance from other people right now as we go into this week. So I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.